bring in my next guest, which is a fan favorite here at Flashpoint, Dr. Peter McCullough. You know, we talked about, first off, welcome back to the show, Doc. Thank you for being here. COVID, let's talk about, we are post-COVID, yet everything we do seems to point back to that time in that era where so much went wrong with the medical community.
So true, and this is where the government spending really picked up, and now Trump and Elon Musk they're working so hard to, bring us back to a spending level that's prior to the pandemic and the waste, the fraud, and abuse that happened during the pandemic. Americans want to put it behind them. Americans want the COVID vaccines off the market. They don't want any more pandemic news out there, and they want to move on with their lives.
Well, they do. And now let's go back to President Trump for just a moment, ladies and gentlemen. Now, every time we interviewed him, I was told, not to ask questions about certain things. And one of those certain things was about the vaccine. They didn't want to have to deal with it during the campaign. But look at this story with John Rich. He tells a story about President Trump talking about getting booed about the vaccine. Watch this. It's kind of interesting. You'll enjoy it.
Trump gets through eating, and you've seen him do this move right here.
Yeah.
Wherever in the big boardroom he does this. Okay, that's what he does. He goes, "Can I ask you a question, John Rich?" He never calls me John. John Rich. I look at him, I go, "Yes, sir. What's the question?" He goes, "Well, you do a lot of big shows. Like, you're an entertainer." "Yes, sir." "You play for really big crowds?" I go, "I do. I play for really big crowds for a long time." He goes, "Well, have you seen these rallies I'm doing? Like, it's 30, 40,000 people." I said, "Yeah, it's unbelievable." He goes, "So here's the question. Why are people booing me at my rallies when I bring up the vaccine?" This is the question from the President of the United States. And so, man, I looked at him and I said, "Okay, I'm going to tell you the answer, and you're not going to like it." He goes, "Okay, what's the answer?" You gonna look at me like this? I said, "Let me start off by saying this. We, the American people, do not trust the people that you were forced to trust at the time when this was happening. Let's start there." And I said, by the people we don't trust, here's who I mean. The FDA, the CDC, the NIH, the WHO, Fauci, and all the rest of them. I said, "Mr. President, we consider them to be a bunch of murderous, depopulationist psychopaths."
And his reaction was...
That's a good way to start.
His eyes are, he goes, "Unbelievable." Unbelievable. He's stunned.
Impression.
No, he is stunned that I said that.
We're not stunned. Okay, Dr. McCullough, that was the reality of what, President Trump had to deal with. Now, on this program, we had to be very careful from being canceled. But our point, and Flashpoint's point during all of that, is the government should not be telling you must get a vaccine. If you decide to get a vaccine on your own, that's great. That's your decision. But when you start mandating and telling people in order to keep your job, in order to stay in the military, you must get a vaccine, that's where we drew the line. And that's part of our rights and our freedoms here in America. But the other side of this is now getting to this part of COVID, we look back and go, I think John Rich nailed it. Everybody that I talk to feels the exact same way as he described. They feel lied to. They don't trust. I remember when we used to think, oh, the CDC said it, so it must be there. Those guys investigate everything. That's not true anymore. The landscape with the American people and trust with the medical community has been absolutely devastated to the core.
It's true, and it's because of the COVID vaccines. So that here's an area where Trump is not reading the populace very well. He does this most of the time. He's a master at it, but he's not reading the public right now. When I do big public programs, thousands of people, 85% raise their hand when I ask them if they know somebody who's been injured, disabled, or died after COVID-19 vaccines. Now we see a widespread distrust of the routine childhood schedule, and measles taking off. So this is really backfiring. They need to very quickly get the COVID-19 vaccines off the market and get trust restored.
I believe you're absolutely right. Let me go up to you, Pastor Larry Huck, before I come back to the good doctor here. I've talked to Hank about this there in Omaha, but here in Bedford, Texas, where you are, you had to navigate this. You had to walk your congregation through all of this. How did you do it, and what did you say?
Yeah, well, I took the vaccine. Didn't want to take the vaccine, but it's the only way. I do so much work in Israel. It's the only way I could get in and out of the country. But I told our people, it's totally up to you. You decide. Gene, one of the things that I wonder, and, I've been out of the country the last few weeks, and so maybe this has already been addressed, but why is it that Biden pardoned Fauci, and what did he pardon him for? I think that it was, as the doctor said, or as Rich said, I think it was a scam. I think it was something that is a prelude, and forgive me if I'm over the top on this, a prelude to the Antichrist to see if they could shut the nation down, if they could control the world, and they did it. But I think it was a lie. I think it was bogus. Most of our people did. Most of our people did not take the vaccine. And I would be surprised that people still are taking the vaccine. But that's what, and I agree 100% with you and with Dr. Peter. I don't trust them anymore. I don't trust what they're saying. I don't trust the stats that they're given. And I think it was Kennedy said when we were kids, what did we get? 3 different vaccines, and now we're up to how many vaccines?
Yeah,
and
crazy.
so I think they've lost the trust of America, and I think rightfully so.
All right. So, Dr. McCullough, I know I don't have you for long. I want you to address this because I think thank you, Pastor Larry, for bringing up the fact you took the vax. There's a lot of people that have decided, oh, what should I do now? Now I understand there's a lot of bad things in there. Doc, you've got a protocol. Explain again in layman's terms, that means so I can understand it, what they need to do. What do people need to do? What should they do to kind of help eliminate perhaps some of the toxins and basically help their bodies out so they don't die prematurely?
I've published the only peer-reviewed, scientifically supported protocol of what to do once somebody's taken the vaccine or even had COVID several times. It's copyrighted McCullough Protocol, base spike protein detoxification. It's now in a single product. It's called the Wellness Company Ultimate Spike Detox. Wellness Company Ultimate Spike Detox, twc.health, and use the promo code FLASH so Gene and his team gets credit. And these capsules contain in them nattokinase, bromelain, and curcumin. They help dissolve the vaccine spike protein, get it cleansed out of the body. It's going to take probably a year or more, but it's a very wise thing to do right now. We've seen far too many blood clots, cardiac arrests, even late after the vaccines.
All right. So, but Doc, I think this is massive. The protocol that you and the Wellness Company have come up with, that people can go and know it's not $5. So you're going to have to pay for it, but the alternative is worse, obviously. But understanding that I can do, what does this protocol actually do? Does it eliminate it? Does it scrub everything out? Explain what it does.
It essentially dissolves the spike protein that the vaccine installs in the body. The nattokinase and bromelain do this. We watch patients clinically get better, and the antibodies against the spike protein decline. Where it's been measured, the spike protein itself will go down concordantly. And again, these are natural products. They have cardiovascular benefits. They tend to be mild blood thinners, but we use them in addition to blood thinners and aspirin now safely. I have thousands of patients under direct observation, and thankfully they're improving.
Wonderful, wonderful. Let me bring in our friend Ed Rush, fighter pilot and vaccine. I don't know what to say. I was going to come up with something, but I can't, Ed. So, Ed, you've been listening to Dr. Peter McCullough. I mean, this is massive that there's actually a protocol out there that will help people that may want to kind of reverse some of the effects of this vax.
It's great. By the way, you could say vaccine expert, you could say tariff expert. I'm joking about that because the number of tariff experts in America just hit 340 million. But I'm actually really personally invested in this and in the solution. my distrust in the government started actually quite some time ago. When I was in the Marine Corps, I was against my desires and certainly against my informed consent. I was experimented on with anthrax, like literally live anthrax. They shot the entire Marine Corps up when I was there, and then they quietly discontinued the program and didn't tell us why. We asked. They wouldn't explain it. There was no explanation given to us at all. I was just talking a couple weeks ago to the person who's coming in to be one of the top 4 or 5 at H&HS with Director or Secretary Kennedy, and they're actually starting to look at that. And this is actually really important to the conversation you just had, which is this: it takes about 20 years for you to earn someone's trust, and it takes you about 20 seconds for you to lose someone's trust. And I think that's what our government's done. It's too bad. We did it with our military. We certainly did it with COVID. And there's some great medical solutions out there, by the way, that the government would like to support, but right now no one believes them. And I think it's brilliant. By the way, there's a lot of people that I know who took the vaccine under false pretenses, much like when I got shot with anthrax, that wish that they hadn't. And now there's a really great solution for it. So it's wonderful that, with some regret, you also get a second chance potentially for some good things happening.
In fact, there's good news today, Ed. I know it's not with the Marines, but this came out. The DOD released this video about the Air Force. Watch. Now, I think that is amazing, Ed. I mean, that we see, this is one of the first times that we're starting to see. Now, we have friends that were in the reserves or going into military, and they had to make a decision. And it was difficult. I mean, they were faced with, like, I've trained for this my whole life. This is what I've wanted to go do. I want to go fight. I want to go do this. And they're saying I got to get the vaccine. I'm not comfortable. And they had to make a life and death, or it could be a life and death decision, because typically these were young guys, like that group of people, the athletes, the guys that are healthy and doing things that it seemed to hurt the most. And yet they had to make a decision. And some decided to not go into the military, which is really sad. So now, very glad to see, Dr. McCullough, I'll let you comment on this. Glad to see that we're seeing some movement back to reinstate those that did not take the vaccine. When we look back, Doc, I mean, some of the stuff, we knew it was crazy when it was happening, but now it even looks even worse, some of the crazy mandates and rules that we were living under.
So true. Remember at Flashpoint, Gene, early on, we simply said we were promoting freedom of choice, medical freedom, personal autonomy. We didn't know what was going to happen, how things were going to play out. And now finally, the military is given this order, in a sense, to respect medical freedom. Great to see it.
All right, Doc, before I let you go, I know you got to go. What is on the medical horizon that a Flashpoint audience needs to know? What's exciting to you that you see?
Well, at this point in time, we're seeing great progress now with respect to Robert F. Kennedy in making America healthy again. And we're going to see a deep dive into the causes of autism, which is almost certainly a multifactorial disorder. When you and I were kids, Gene, autism was 1 in 10,000.
That's right.
Now it's 1 in 36. It's a big-time epidemic, and we need to invest in this to figure out what in the world is driving it.
That's so true, so true. So, I mean, this makes me smile that we have RFK Jr. there at this time in this season, post-COVID, and people like you, Dr. McCullough, thank you for being a part. Thank you for coming by Flashpoint.
Thank you.